So in this masterclass, we're going to teach you how to uplevel your art career so that you can start to boost demand for your work and also start to create more sustainable income. I think that's the key, right? Is that you can start to build more demand and then in turn build that sustainable income. And we want you to be spending more time making an income from your art and your passion versus trying to fit your artwork on the side of a full-time job and then spending your whole time watching other people do it, do what you want to be doing and have the success you desire and just kind of feel like, oh, I wish I want that, but I don't know how. We want to help you to move from the wishing and the hoping to actually making it a reality. So making the most of our time together. So see if you can be as distraction-free as possible. Recommend like turning off notifications and your phone if you can, just so you can really dedicate this time specifically to yourself and to your art career. Okay, so let's make sure that you're in the right place. I think you are, but let's double check. So you're in the right place if you want to have more clarity over who you are as an artist and where you're taking your career. You're also in the right place if 2, you've been passionately creating your artwork for years and you're committed to taking it to the next level. And 3, you want to create more sustainable income from your artwork. So tell us, which of these 3 resonated most with you? Is it 1, clarity, 2, going to the next level, or 3, creating more sustainable income? Or maybe it's all 3 or 2 specifically. And if you can read out, Tom.
Okay, we got lots of 3s, a few 2s and 3s, a few of people saying all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, a mixture, but mostly I'd say 3 is definitely the most common one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, great. Well, that is exactly what we're going to be going through today. So it's pretty good that everyone's in the right place. So
I totally get it because I was perhaps where you are, and it took me years to build my career. And like I tinkered for years thinking I was building an art career, but really I was just treading water. I got to like a certain point where I was really confident at painting because I'd done a lot of it, but I hadn't actually done anything around like building it and taking it to the next level. So back in 2007 to 2013, there was this like window where I was working full time as a graphic designer. Like I had a little studio, like a desk in a studio, and I was painting heaps on the streets and all that sort of stuff. And I was having like pieces in group shows and, getting out there a bit, but I sort of hit this plateau of my art career. And I knew I wanted to go to the next level, but I just didn't actually like know if I had the confidence to do it. And I definitely didn't have the confidence to quit my job because money was coming in very sporadically and, but there were opportunities coming in. I was getting little commissions and all this, but that sort of kept going for like years and years. But this is me now in my art studio, and I managed to close that gap. It took like 12 years to build, but it was just like, through showing up and like really working hard and getting clear at what I wanted to do with my art career. Like I started like closing the gap, and that's what we're really going to go through here today. Okay. So we've bottled down everything I've learned in the last 12 years into our 5 C's framework. And so that way you can like fast track your journey. So you don't have to go through all the trial and error that I did because I went down so many like random paths and all this sort of things. And yeah, we want to sort of cut all that out and give you a clear pathway forward.
Yeah, because what we found both in Tom's art career of kind of all the trial and error that he's done, but also from working with lots of artists, is that there's some common challenges that artists are facing. And so these are the kind of key ones. So it's like not having a clear or consistent art style. So kind of just jumping around with different styles and not really knowing which direction they want to go in. Or having a lack of career clarity and vision. So, not really knowing where you want to go, not knowing what income you want to make, or where you want to be seen with your artwork and how you're bringing that income in, the inconsistent income for not having that clarity. And then also overwhelmed, doing too many different things, but also doing a lot of things that are either really low price or for free and not really zoning in on your zone of genius. And then the other thing is mindset. So there's tons of different things with mindset. We're not even going to touch on that today because, you know, this is a big piece, and this is an area that I've focused on specifically with my clients. But things like not feeling good enough, comparison, perfectionism, all these types of things are in the background and they're impacting the way we show up in the world and the actions that we take. So it's really important to overcome all of these. And really, that is why we have created the 5 C's framework, because it's our mission to help more artists to bust through these obstacles and step into the art career that they really desire. So who are we? Who are Tom and I, and why listen to us? So just quick introductions here. So my name is Claire Bradshaw. So if you don't know, Tom and I are married, but we have different surnames. So I'm a business and mindset coach of 8 years, and I've been working with holistic and creative clients globally to grow their abundant businesses. And so my background is I have a marketing honors degree and I have 10 plus years working in global corporate marketing. I'm also a certified business and mindset coach and a yoga teacher. So I bring in all the mystical stuff and then also the practical business and mindset pieces. So I really love that kind of holistic way of looking at how we can break through the things that keep us stuck and then how we can take the practical steps to getting where it is that we want to go. And I've coached hundreds of clients over the past sort of 7 to 8 years, both in one-to-one and group settings. And I also love nature and healthy living. They're my things. Over to you, Tom.
Hey, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Tom Gerard, and I'm a full-time international artist for the last 9 years. And I'm also the host of Bench Talk podcast. And I approach my art career with like an entrepreneurial spirit. Like I love the business side of things as well as the creativity. Okay, I started painting regularly back in 1996, and I worked as a graphic designer in some of the largest design agencies in Melbourne, London, and Barcelona. And I also worked in the art industry for Christie's Auction House in London. And I've interviewed over 190 artists for Bench Talk podcasts, and I've exhibited in galleries globally. I've painted murals in over 20 countries. I have artwork in the National Gallery of Victoria and National Gallery of Australia collections. And since pursuing my art career, I'm now making like 4 times more as an artist than I did as a graphic designer. So it is possible.
Okay, and so Tom and I, we both run the Art Career Academy and we support artists from all over the world. We have our signature program, Going Pro, and we also have a Momentum membership, which is for graduates of the program. And so the principles that we're teaching today, the 5 C's framework, really comes from our program. And so we want to teach you the sort of top line of as much as we can get through today of, you know, what that really looks like in terms of that framework to build that sustainable art career. So over to you. Can you imagine what it would feel like to be spending your days creating your artwork and also making a good living? We actually, Tom and I went to an artist talk on Friday, and it was interesting because one of the questions that was asked, and I thought this was so fascinating, was, can it be called work when you're having fun? Can it be called work when you're having fun? And I think that so many of us have this conditioning that you're working and it's something that you just endure, but you don't really like. But when you're having fun, you can't charge for it or it can't be a career, right? And this was the discussion that was had. And something that I remember distinctly, Tom, on his journey, he said, I don't work anymore. I have fun and I make a good living from it. And I thought that was so great because it's that perspective shift, it's that belief shift that actually I can have fun and I can make really good money from it. So you're creating a career where you are in the driver's seat. So this means that you're following your passion and it's the most rewarding and life-changing way that you're spending your days. And having this type of career is entirely possible, and it's more possible now than probably has ever been before. And it's our mission to support thousands of artists just like you to do exactly the same. And so let's talk about where we're actually going to go on this masterclass. So here's our little journey. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of journey along the 5 C's framework to building an abundant art career. And so the first C is clarity. And this really sets the frame, the stage for everything else that's to come. The second is commitment. The third is consistency. Fourth is confidence. And fifth is community. Okay, done. Masterclass done. There you go, you got it. No, not really. We're going to go into it in a lot more detail in a moment. But once we've gone through all of those things, we're going to be letting you know how you can continue the journey with us and go deeper if you choose to. And then we're going to finish today with a Q&A. And so, get your questions ready. Take as many notes as you need, and Tom and I will have time at the end to go through any questions that you have. All right, so what you're going to take away from this masterclass, we're going to give you some actionable steps that you can take your art career to the next level. You'll also get practical strategies to boost your income and your productivity. And the whole point of all of this is really to help you to renew your confidence in your ability to thrive as your authentic artistic self. All right, let's get into the 5 C's. So, what is creating a thriving art career? Like, I think it's really important to define what that is first. So these are our kind of ideas of what that could look like. So creating your art on your schedule with total flexibility. So, creating your own timings of when you're showing up to your artwork, dependent on your own energy and what else is going on in your life. It's having opportunities land into your inbox regularly. So you're not hustling all the time for work, but through the framework that I'm going to teach you today, from doing that, you start to see opportunities coming to you. They attract to you. Your art earns income from multiple streams of income, and you've really been specific and intentional in terms of, what those multiple streams are and how they really work for you. You have a clear vision for your career, and you're exhibiting both online and in person, and you're making consistent sales if that's what you desire, and you're part of a supportive, ambitious artist community. So for us, that is creating a thriving art career. All right, so let's look at the number 1 C that we're going to go through today, and that's clarity. We've mentioned this a couple of times through the masterclass already, so it's a really, really important one. And this is really about getting clear on where you're at right now in your art career, and then also where you're headed into the future. So really, it's very much about, where you are now and then where you're headed with your vision. And so when you don't have clarity around who you are today as an artist or where you're headed, you can feel lost. You can be doing so many different things and feel a bit scattered in your energy. You can feel a little bit stuck and you can have no direction. It can be hard to talk about your artwork if you're not really clear in terms of who you are and what you stand for and what you're about and where your influences have come from and things like that. And also, it can be challenging to be taking steps in the direction that you most want to go if you don't really know where that is. But when you do have clarity around who you are today as an artist and where you're headed, it gives you that kind of true north direction. So in terms of the actions that you're taking and the things that you're doing, they're intentional. They're not so sporadic. You don't feel so scattered in your mind, and you know what you're doing each day, and there's a purpose behind it. And that helps to give you motivation to take your actions every day. And it also helps you to make aligned decisions. So when opportunities do come to you, and I remember Tom had this a lot, like he had lots of opportunities come to him at the start, he's saying yes to everything. But then over time, some of those opportunities were like, oh, they didn't feel great. But then when he got clear in terms of what his vision was, he was better able to make the decision whether it was a yes or whether it was a no.
So I'm going to talk about how this looks for artists actually putting it into practice. So there's a lot of experienced artists here in this group, but as you know, there's no one path for an art career. And there's so many different types of artists. There's so many different personalities, styles, techniques, outputs, also different types of ways of running an art business as well. And I find that the most successful artists are ones who really own who they are and what it is that they do. Okay. So the key is to find clarity in who you are as an artist and what type of art career you want to have. And when I say art career, like there's so many ways to make money as an artist. And some people fall into traps of saying, well, I'm doing this because that's how I make money, but they're sort of miserable in it. And it's like the way I see it is what's the point in pursuing your passions only to end up, pigeonholed in this area of it that you don't like, and that could be like being stuck painting something over and over again that you don't really want to be painting, but that's what the market wants. Or even like say all you want to do is have exhibitions in galleries, but you're stuck painting murals or something like that. Like working out who it is that you want to be and what sort of career that you want to have. And I'm going to give you an example of what I did in my art career and to help me build greater clarity. So back in 2013, I decided to go all in on pursuing my career. But the problem was I had a few issues to sort out first. I didn't have a full clarity on who I was as an artist. I didn't have direction for my creative growth, and I had no vision to build my art career. So I've been painting for years, but I realized like I'd just been painting on the streets and I had this vision for this gallery artist and an artist who could actually build a career for themselves. And yeah, I didn't like, I just felt like I was staring at a blank canvas. It was a sort of full makeover for me as a creative makeover. Okay. So what I did is I went out and bought this blue folder. And at the time I was working as a graphic designer, as I mentioned before, and I had the internet in front of me and I had a printer in the room and I just went through and I just printed out everything that caught my attention. So it was like, color palettes, techniques, like artists, reference photos that I'd taken on my travels, like all sorts of things, just like even like gallery installs of what I envisioned my art looking like in galleries and all this type of stuff. And I saw there was a world forming there. And I noticed that I was like drawn to certain types of artwork and certain groups of artists. And then like there was themes, subjects, and techniques that I was more drawn to. And once this folder really started to get fleshed out, I saw that there was a pathway forward for me. And I realized that, I didn't just have to sort of move forward with this whole art world idea. Like I'm just going to be an artist and enter the art world. I realized that there was this like area within the art world that I was really drawn to. And it meant that I could cut out the rest of the noise. So to gain greater clarity for your art career, you need to establish a couple of things. Like you need to work out who you are as an artist, or who, a lot of you are already artists, but who you want to be moving forward as an artist. And also, that career piece that we talked about, like where do you want the money to be coming from? Because wherever you choose that money to be coming from, that it pretty much is the work you're going to be doing. Okay. So I got two questions for you. So grab your pen and paper. If you don't have it, take a screenshot with your computer, take a photo with your phone, whatever works for you. Okay. So the first one is, are you clear on who you are as an artist? So you might be clear on who you are up to now, but with creating a vision going forward, do you want to stay as that type of artist, or do you see a grander vision for yourself? And that's like, what type of art are you making, and like what markets do you want to be working in? Are you only known in one area of the art world, but you want to expand into, other areas? And also a good thing that I like to think about as well is if you think about lists of artists, like it could be a group show, it could be a book, or it could be anything like that, but a list of artists that you'd love to be mentioned alongside. Like that really helps, work out where to start aiming, because the art world is massive. And like if you're going for all of it, you can get lost more or less. Whereas the more that you can sort of hone in on the area that you want to be playing in, it just means it cuts out the noise and you can really focus on that. So the second question is, are you clear on your vision going forward? So one would be like, how would you like your days to look? Like what hours do you want to be working? What are your obligations outside of the studio? And where would you like your work to be seen? Like this is a big one because, to build a career, you need to get eyes on your work. But where would you really like love your work to be seen? And, what income will you want to be making? Because like at the end of the day, you want to live a good quality of life. And like, for instance, I was chatting to a friend a while ago and he said, I want to quit my job, be a full-time artist and make at least as much as I would working in a bar. And I thought, so you're not aiming for a very good lifestyle, because it means that you're just going to be quite short on cash a lot. Like there's a lot of money out there in the art world, and there's so many different ways to tap into it. It's like, if you think about it from an abundant mindset, really set the bar high and, go for it. And also, like, what steps will you need to take in order to make this a reality?
Yeah. And so we get that we haven't given you that much time. So obviously just take a screen grab if you need to so that you can journal on these later.
Write as much as you can on these in your own time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all
Because
sorts of things will come up.
yeah, you'll get so much clarity from doing this. This is all work that Tom and I have done and we do all the time.
Yeah.
Particularly once a year at the start of the year, we spend a whole chunk of time going through a lot of this.
Pretty much everything that we talk about in this masterclass is something I do at least annually because, I'm taking you back to 2013 and all that, but all these things I did back then, I continue to do till this day because it's always changing and evolving, and my ideas for my career is always evolving as well. I keep hitting different levels of it and then seeing where I want to go next.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not kind of like you do it once and then you're done. It's something that, it's something to keep coming back to and asking yourself. And that's why we've really created this framework to give you a kind of like this isn't working, or, there's a gap here. It's like, you can go back and see, okay, what is it that I need to be working on now? All right. So the second C is commitment. And this is a real biggie one. And it's often it's very important, but probably not spoken about enough. And it's all about going all in on the journey. This is an inside job, right? And it's really the difference between being half in and half out in your art career, or anything that you say that you want to do, but you don't quite get there because you're like, oh, one day you're in, one day you're out, versus going all in. And this all in piece is where we actually really start to get those results. And no one else can tell us to do it. Like they can, but it won't happen unless we give ourselves the permission and we make a full decision that I am 100% going all in. And I wanted to break this down to look at, well, what's the difference between half in and half out and all in? Because sometimes it's like our minds can play tricks, and sometimes it can be hard to really know. I thought I was all in, but actually I was half in, half out. So let's have a little look at a few examples here. So like a half in, half out artist, maybe dabbling in art when time allows, and maybe just putting it second to other priorities. So it's just like, it didn't happen again this week, maybe next week. It's that type of kind of attitude towards it. Whereas when you're all in your art career, it's treating art as a non-negotiable priority. It's like putting dedicated time aside during your daily, days or a week, that is like, this is dedicated time, no matter what happens, I'm doing it. And from there, you create momentum and you create the compounding effect. So an all-in artist may be like hesitant to invest in tools or training or marketing or, different materials for their frames and things like that. It's like going for the cheapest stuff and not really kind of going all in to say, no, I really take pride in every aspect of my art career. Whereas an all-in artist will start to be looking to invest in the resources needed to grow and succeed. They find a way, basically. Half in, half out is the focus is scattered between multiple goals or pursuits, whereas someone who's all in will be like clear with a focused vision and aligned actions and be working towards that. A half in, half out artist may be feeling stuck or frustrated by lack of momentum, whereas all in, you'll be building consistent momentum through regular effort and action. That doesn't mean you don't have rejections. It doesn't mean that things don't work out, right? It does. It just means you just continue to just build on what you've already been doing and keep moving forwards. Half in, half out relies mostly on inspiration to create, whereas all in creates regardless of mood and trusting the process over perfection. So just continually taking that action. Half in, half out struggles to embrace the identity of being a professional artist versus all in, who fully owns the role of a professional artist and acts accordingly to that. And that's a really key one, is that owning the role of a professional artist. And this is what you can ask yourself is like, what if I am, and maybe you already are at the moment, but there's always like levels, there's always things that we can't see right now. So if you think about a professional artist, you could even think of a professional artist that you know or know of. And it's like, how would they be showing up? What would they be doing? And that helps you to step into that role in your own life and make any adjustments that you need to make. And then the last one is half in, half out, limited visibility and slow career growth. So kind of like hiding away. Yeah. Versus expanding visibility, attracting more opportunities and building recognition. So if you wanted to take a screen grab of that, you can. Now, I just wanted to give you a caveat if you were like, oh my goodness, like I've got heaps on the half in, half out, or you're going into a place of judgment or anything like that. Don't worry, everyone starts there, right? It takes time, it takes courage, it takes many things to move ourselves in the other direction. But when you start to have this clarity and this awareness, then you've got something to go on. Then you've got something that you can go, okay, I can work on this piece now. So if there's something in here that you're like, oh, I'm in, half out, I want to step into more the going all in, write it down so that you can start to take action. All right. So when you go all in, magic starts to happen in your art career. But this is the same in everything in life, right? You know, when we go all in, we make a commitment, then the unseen forces support us, right? And so the things that we can see when we go all in are things like we start to have freedom from hesitation. So it eliminates the energy drain of indecision. So you've probably heard that quote, you know, where attention goes, energy flows, right? Because you're less focused on all of the other things and you've zoomed in your focus, and through that, momentum starts to happen. You also start to see more increased opportunities. So when you have full commitment, it signals to others. So, you know, galleries, collectors, collaborators, that you're serious and reliable. And, you know, we spoke to someone just recently who owns a gallery, and they said, we're looking for artists that really are showing up professionally, that are reliable, that have created that reputation, that I know that if they're booked in an exhibition, they're not going to leave everything to the last minute, and you know they show up and all of that, and they promote it on their social medias, all those types of things, really important. And then you know personal growth. So when you go all in and you're fully committed, it pushes you to grow beyond your comfort zone. So when you move from those half in, half place out places, which is generally when we're a little bit like, oh, not certain, like we're scared. It's like, will this work out? All of those kind of fear things are coming up. But then if we don't tackle those fears, and often tackling the fears means just taking action anyway, in spite of the fears. That's what courage is. And, you know, and then when we start to do that, then, you know, incredible things start to happen and we grow as individuals. And then the next challenge that happens or the next growth level is much easier because we've got evidence. We've got evidence that we've done it before and we can do it again.
All right. So being committed to your art career is like there's sort of two different sides of it. I find there's two different sides to so many subjects when talking about an art career. And one is being committed to your artwork. And so that means like being in the studio, like working on your work, like, you know, just showing up and being clear on what it is you're doing and just evolving it and, you know, working on your honing your craft and your skills. And the other one is committed to your vision. So that's what we talked about before with like the business side of your art. Like what does that look like as well? And just sort of showing up and being committed to that one too. It's like it's two sides. If you're only committed to your artwork, you got no business building. And if you're only committed to the business side of things, you got no artwork to show for it. So it does take both sides. And it is really important to make sure that both are being ticked off. Because when you fully commit to something and believe that you can do it and take action towards it, it will begin to come into fruition. Like, you know, all humans, we're wired in to be able to manifest anything we want in our life, you know, even good and bad. Like if you've got thinking negative thoughts all the time and getting negative things show up for you, that's like proof of it. And it's the same the other side when thinking positively about things as well. And I fully believe that when you really commit to a vision for yourself and your art and then start taking action towards that, like starts to just open up and happen. You start meeting, random people that help you along the way and all sorts of things. Okay. So back to 2013. That was the year that I fully committed. So I got myself a studio with a bit more space and I took lots of action. I started showing up there. Like I had a full-time job, but I was there on weekends, like after work, public holidays. Just started like working on just what my studio work looks like. And I started exhibiting my work a lot more because I had more work to show. And I started putting myself out there, like just showing up at more, exhibition openings and just art events. And I started being an artist, if you know what I mean. Like I I changed that whole like when people ask me what I did for a career, even though I was a full-time graphic designer, I'd always say I'm an artist. And then I do a bit of graphic design on the side. Or if I had to fill out a form and it says occupation, I'd always write artist. And at first I felt like I was lying to myself a bit, but it's like, no, I'm in the studio, I'm doing it. And over time, it just that graphic design career just started to dissolve and just drop away. And I was like, I am an artist. But I owned I identified as an artist before the evidence was really there. And off the back of all that, taking all that action, like I built an art career. Like suddenly I was like off to the races and things are really happening. I was getting lots of work come my way and opportunities. Okay.
All right. So let's chat to consistency, which is the third C.